Michael Fabricant was one of Boris Johnson's biggest backers when he was Prime Minister, and I'm delighted to say Michael joins me now. Michael, so what do you make? Good to see you. Good to see you.
What's with your voice, by the way?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Does it sound bad? Is it really bad?
Very croaky.
Oh, God.
I'm glad I'm doing
hopefully well, hopefully it'll get better. So, Michael, does this vindicate Boris Johnson?
I don't think it vindicates Boris Johnson, but Sue Gray's appointment is quite extraordinary because it puts into doubt, actually, the whole neutrality of the civil service, that you can have someone who is meant to be politically neutral and then joins the Keir Starmer team. I guess it also opens up questions on why it was that Boris Johnson was given a fixed penalty notice, and Keir Starmer, up in Durham, where the Police and Crime Commissioner is, of course, a Labour Police and Crime Commissioner, where he was partying, he didn't get a fixed penalty notice. So, you know, it opens up a whole can of worms. But I think most importantly of all, it actually is damaging to the civil service because it puts the whole neutrality of the civil service in doubt when you get a senior person like Sue Gray, who is still holding a very senior position in the Cabinet Office, then joining Keir Starmer's team. It's not a good look, and it certainly doesn't show for political neutrality.
But you'd think that Sir Keir Starmer would look at that and would see the optics of that. I'm just wondering what was in his head that he would think that people wouldn't go, hang on a minute, this is looking bad. Why would you think that he would make that sort of move? Do you think it's a level of arrogance that people won't?
I have no idea. I have Labour MPs who are saying we wish we could look inside his head because nobody's too sure exactly what Keir Starmer is on about at times. He's a great criticiser of government, but he doesn't actually say what he would do if he were in government. But I guess that's the joy of being in opposition. I suppose he would argue that Sue Gray is an able person, but then he would say that, wouldn't he?
So what are the implications then of Sue Gray if she does take this job or she ends up getting this job? What does it say to us about politics? Because I think a lot of people are watching quite disillusioned by our politicians and that, you know, they can do this. I mean, as you said, with BeerGate, that was hardly even investigated properly, in my view. That's what I saw. Yet PartyGate was shoved down our throats. Now we're finding all these things coming out. Do you think people are just totally losing confidence?
Yeah, and it is remarkable. I mean, as I said, in Durham, you've got a Labour Police Crime Commissioner, and who's the mayor in London, where there was a prosecution? That, of course, was, I always forget his name, Sadiq Khan. And you do have to wonder about the neutrality. I mean, one of the great things about the United Kingdom is that we have an independent police force or an independent civil service, or at least we thought we did. But now you have to wonder whether that is the case, whether they are politically independent, or whether they actually use politics in order to promote certain people over others. And that has to be wrong. It's not justice, that's for sure.
Do you think we need to rethink the system? Because in America, they bring in their full office into office. Do you think we need to have a rethink? Because, for example, in the Home Office, civil servants who've seen successive governments can sort of gain a lot of power and actually help to oust Home Secretaries and things like that. Is there some way? Do you think there's a better way we could do this?
Well, you know, it's quite interesting. You've got the problem in Israel at the moment, you know, of rioting. And the rioting is going on because the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is trying to appoint judges. And normally there is a separation of powers between the judiciary and the executive. This is getting all very theoretical. But the point being that Israel's normally had the British system and they're going to the American system. For example, it's the President of the United States who appoints Supreme Court judges when a vacancy arises. I don't think that's a good system at all. I'm beginning to have my doubts, to be honest with you, whether a police and crime commissioner is a good idea. I think it was brought in under David Cameron. I think we should be thinking maybe, is this such a good idea? Clearly, when it comes to London and Durham, we've seen a little bit of political bias, and that's worrying.
Well, of course, that's not proven that there is a political bias, but I mean, you know what I'm thinking. But listen, Michael Fabricant,
But the point, Nana, is if there wasn't politics involved, and there is because the Police and Crime Commissioner is elected, I wouldn't be able to even ask this question if it were untrue. And as you quite rightly say, my gosh, it certainly looks as if there has been political bias, and that shouldn't be the case with the police or indeed the civil service. And actually, I think Susan Gray has done a disservice to the civil service for even accepting the position. She should have left it for a couple of years. To be doing it, you know, within a year or so of a general election, it's not a good look, and frankly, it smells.
Well, you know, it does smell a bit bad, but we'll see how it progresses. Michael Fabricant, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you.
And I hope your throat gets better.
Yeah, so do I.